24 hours with JB. Let's talk. So, acknowledgement, recognition, support even, right? In other words, why is it that certain people, right, refrain from acknowledging your growth, and on top of that will sit and talk to you as if it's been 3, 4 years or however long ago since the two of you either parted ways or since things became turbulent, right? In other words, my thing, or the way in which I view life is, okay, if I haven't spoken to you in the past 3 to 6 months, especially a year, beloved, your life may have changed drastically as well as mine, right? So thus I'm going to at least strive to catch back up, and then we go from there, right? Now, we all know each other from obviously the uh, previous status of the relationship, right? As well as throughout the course of our upbringing, right? However, life tends to life, right? And we all go in different paths throughout life. So thus you have to be mindful when dealing with a person in the event that time has passed. That's one thing. Secondly, and this is more so personally and pertaining to me, I realized over the course of time, right, that let's just say I know people, right, that when they deal with me, even if it's been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they tend to deal with me as if time froze almost, right? As if I'm not this person who you see behind the camera. And it doesn't get to me per se, but it more so makes me laugh as well as chuckle because I say to myself, here it is that we're having a conversation. Here it is that we're speaking like adults, and you're asking me what's new, right? Whilst knowing exactly what's new. You know I'm in my bag, beloved. You know I'm getting to it, beloved. You know I'm stepping like a step of steps, right? And it amazes me because it's not just one person, it's not just two people that I know. I could name at least three people, right, that will speak to me after X amount of time and will act as if like, hey, what's up? What's going on? What's going on? Like, mind you, never even acknowledged the fact that I grew my hair. Never even acknowledged that, yeah, that's all me. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not the acknowledgement per se, albeit the acknowledgement would be good, right? But it's more so the how could I frame this? The going out of the way to not acknowledge anything that I have, any seeds that I have planted. That was good. You got the dragon fruit right here, right? And what I mean by that is, listen me alone. That's good. What I mean by that is, I know for a fact that this person or these people are on all of my social medias. You're keeping tabs on me, which is cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a content creator. I'm putting myself out there. This comes with the territory essentially. But what seems to cause me to become befuddled is when people don't give you that proper recognition, or more so when a person again goes out of their way to not address your growth, right? How far you have come in life. And my reason for speaking about this subject matter is because that will stagnate you, beloved. I'm someone who works on their mental health and takes their mental health very, very seriously. In other words, mental health is imperative for me because I've been through a lot in life, right? Ups and downs, right? And I know what it's like to come out of a situation and then think back like, damn, I was really going through it. And at times I didn't even know, right? I'm just dealing with this person or just dealing with this situation as if it's regular because at that point in time it was regular. But it's not until you start wringing that water out of that washcloth that you see that washcloth was soaked. God damn. You know what I mean? And you get it to become bone dry. You realize the work that you took Do you realize the work that it took to wring that water out? And you'll probably always realize it because now you got calluses on your hand. You understand what I'm saying? And so, with that being said, once you start to clear your mind mentally, once you start to rise above the toxicity, the negativity, beloved, you got to start moving differently. And moving different, right? That course of action, that roadmap may be different for you, especially if that's not your intention, especially if deep down inside you wish things were differently, right? Here's where becoming an adult comes into play, right? You have to say to yourself, if it's been 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, beloved, it's probably not going to change, especially if you're giving a person and or persons an opportunity or just a moment, let's say, even to, sort of repatch things, right? To sort of rekindle that old fire, right? But again, if you see that person is just stuck on stupid, essentially, and that person is dealing with you and or speaking to you as if time has stood still, that's probably not the person you want to be around, right? And what I also realize is you can have a person could have a mental strain on you. A person could keep you boxed in your own mind, right? If you allow someone to do that, right? That's up to you, right? Because at the end of the day, as well as the beginning of the day, you know your capabilities. And speaking from personal experience, that's what happened to me, right? I was making move after move, and I knew what I was doing was spectacular. You know what I'm saying? But it goes, now we go back to the recognition. The recognition would be mediocre, right? And that could really stagnate you, especially on who or where that recognition is coming from. And you see, what I realized fast forward to today is some people do that to hold you back and or to play mind games with you. But see, on the flip side, some people don't realize how much you have come along, right? In other words, some people feel as though they have you figured out when in all actuality they don't. And that's essentially why they don't see you. It's because this is happening, right? This is happening, right? And it's up to you to stay intact, stay in the pocket, stay disciplined, stay respectful, and stay humble, right? And strive not to address things that no longer even pertain to you. You understand what I'm saying? If you tell me 100 different things about me, I'll probably sit back and laugh with you. I may give you another 100 negative things or to veggie back off of what you said to keep the lie going, right? The toxicity going, right? I mean not. I just lied. That was a whole lie. But essentially what I'm getting at is I'm comfortable with me. And when you reach that comfortability, when you start to understand who you are, you move different, beloved. You step a completely different step because now you see with a clear vision what life is really about, what you're capable of, right? Who's been holding you back? You start to see all of these things because what doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. You understand what I'm saying? And furthermore, people are always going to reveal themselves if you give them enough time, which is why I strive not to react, right? Growing up, even to this day, one could argue I've always been impulsive, right? But the moment I've learned to reset that impulsive clock and just remain more patient, a lot of times I don't even have to react because people wind up playing themselves. You understand what I'm saying? And this is where being a boss comes into play. This is where being a general comes into play. This is where being a leader comes into play, even because you start to realize and understand, yo, I have to move a certain way. I have to step over the landmines. You understand what I'm saying? To not blow myself up or blow up those that are around me. Peace and blessings, y'all. Thank you for listening.